Good evening, everybody. What is going on? Welcome into Dollars to Deuces, episode number 34. This is our week 4 pick'ems and player props and all that good stuff. This is a Toilets to Titles production. And as always, I'm joined by my buddy Rich at Frito Bandito FF on the Twitter. What's up, dude?
Good, man. On vacation this week. Man, I'll be honest with you, really not doing much up to this point today. I had to go out into the front and started doing some tearing up the flower bed and revamping it up, getting ready for Halloween.
You're going to have her lit up for Halloween, aren't you? I forgot you said that.
Yeah, I'm starting to work on it. I was driving down the road and I started seeing some neighbors putting stuff up, and I'm like, oh yeah, competition. So now I got something to compete with.
Hell yeah. And always also joined by Abe at MVinFF on Twitter. What's up, buddy?
How we doing? Good to be back again. The picks have not been the greatest, but we're back at it again. So we'll just keep on trying, keep chugging away. These are their toughest weeks, in my opinion, as the first couple before you really get a handle on how the season is going to go. So I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't win if you're not trying. So
that's right. Yeah, and in the beginning of the season has been the upside down. I mean, everything that could go different has gone differently and stuff like that. And I like to see anybody that is really doing out of this world right now, unless you got your Sharks out here that are really knocking out of the park right now.
Yeah, I mean, who would have guessed that the AFC West would be 5-7 and the NFC East would be 8-4 right now? So
it's the AFC East beat every single dang AFC West team last week.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's a little upside down right now, but we'll keep on plugging away.
Hell yeah. As always, you can listen to us Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Facebook. We're on Twitch now. Check that out too. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the little bell so you know we're going live. I believe Joe was on earlier tonight. Almost every single night there is something going on. Just tons of good stuff. Also, please throw us an Apple Podcast, iTunes review, 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. Always check out toilstyles.com for all of your anything you need, really. I saw Coach posted his dudes and duds for week 4 this week. He's been hitting it out of the park as well. So yeah, please check that out. And of course, our patreon.com/toilets-titles. A lot of stuff going on there as well. 5 different tiers for it. I know the waiver episode's been packed full of good stuff. I was joking with Joe tonight that I think it was after week 1 I said to pick up Isaiah Mckenzie, and now he's been lighting it up. So that'd probably be my only one of the year that was actually worth a darn. But hey, we got one that was on there that makes you feel good. So, but yeah, let's get into the good stuff, I guess, in our survivor pool.
Survivor pool, yeah.
We're barely surviving. Well, I'm barely surviving.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're good, man.
Rich, I'll let you go first with last week's pick and then this week's pick since you actually won last week.
Yeah, so last week I did pick the Bengals to win. I figured they had to get a win, so that kind of worked out for me. This week I am going with the Eagles. They are playing against the dang, it just totally slipped.
Commodores.
Jaguars.
Jaguars, yep.
I thought they smacked the Commanders last
Jaguars
week.
Are not that are been playing decent and stuff like that, and they're looking pretty good and everything, but man, after the whooping they put on the Commanders last week, and just overall in general, this beginning of the season, they're looking real good. So I figured this would be an easy win. It is at Eagles too. So,
Abe,
I have the Lions this week. This was a tough one for me. I was thinking about it all day today instead of actually working. And then I actually didn't
appreciate that.
And then I didn't even put my pick in until about 10 minutes ago. But I was going back and forth on a couple of teams, like who would I pick? My first initial thought was the Eagles and stuff like that. Last week I came on here and jumped on and stole the Chargers right off the bat. And then obviously that completely backfired. So this week I thought, well, let's not put anything on there right away and kind of see what everyone else picks. And then an Eagles team playing at home, our Lions team playing at home was something I wanted. And I just you guys know how much I feel for Geno Smith and how great I think he is. So I think that the Lions is a good play this week, especially at home.
Any worries with DeAndre Swift being out?
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, Jamal Williams is handling the ball really well. I'm actually a little bit more worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown being a little bit more limited. I saw that today, but I still think that, the three of us and, 8 friends could go out and put a good game against Geno Smith together. So
Geno's a stud.
Don't say that. I took the Giants, because I have to go against the Bears in anything we can. I don't know. I don't think the Giants looked – I thought their defense looked decent last week. I think they'll have no problem with Justin Fields and the Bears. I think they'll get back on the right side of things again, and shouldn't be too big a deal. Last week I picked the Chiefs, who got beat by the Colts. I don't know. Whatever. I don't even care.
And real quick, prayers to Sterling Shepard. Injury out for the season. Saw the play, just running down the field and everything, and just dropped. I mean, it didn't just grab for that knee, man. I always hate seeing something like that happen on the field when they don't even get touched at all.
Yeah, that always makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You see it, you're like, uh-oh, we know what that is. So,
and T's and P's to everybody in Florida. They don't like any of that. I thought I was going down there for work. Don't get to now. Oh, well, probably for the best. Last week, Rich and I were both 7-8-1. Abe was 8-7-1. I am 24-23-1 on the season. Abe 21-26-1. And Rich 19-28-1. So I'm still got my head above water, barely above 500. So I expect that to change for the better this week. Is there anything you guys want to go over from last week, I guess, before we get too far into it?
I mean, I was 3 for 5 on player props, but I mean, nothing outstanding or anything like that. My long shot didn't hit as Tua had a concussion, aka back spasm. I don't know. However you want
that's
to call
what Keegan
it.
had. Your son had a back spasm. You didn't have a concussion. That's what they call it now.
Hey, what's funny about it is when he did have that hit, had that concussion and stuff like that on the sideline that whole game, he kept on leaning over and grabbing his back.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, one bet. I mean, I guess considering we're a betting show, is something that I caught on to. Is that every time Brady and Rodgers face off, Brady goes on and wins the Super Bowl. So if you want to wait and see if Tampa Bay loses this week against Kansas City and then go place a long shot bet, I think he's 4-0 winning the Super Bowl when him and Rodgers face off in the regular season. So pretty interesting stat.
Yeah. I guess I had a couple player props to hit. Fields under 25.5 pass attempts. He threw it 17 times. Yeah.
That was that's one you can sit back and relax and not have to worry about. Nate and I were talking about this before we came on. I'm like, why didn't we play that? Like, I mean, that is just way too many for him. But and then of course Nate goes, well, what's he at this week? I jumped on my phone real quick and it's not out yet.
It'll be there. Just wait. It'll come. And I'll bet it this time, and then it won't happen. First one, tomorrow night's game. It'll be good. Should be a good one, depending on it sounds like Tua is going to play. The Dolphins are traveling to Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored by 4 points. Rich, I'll let you go first. But I guess is Tua playing? It sounds like he thinks he is. Waddle's going to play, I think.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be a full go. I did pick the Dolphins to cover the -4 at +4. Dolphins defense has been, I know last week's game and stuff like that, but I want to blame the 13th man or the 12th man, however you want to call it, on the Heat last week and everything. So in that game with the Bills and Dolphins, but overall the Dolphins defense has been pretty good. So I'm gonna blame last week's underperforming game on the Heat for both teams. And Dolphins bounce back this week, and man, I just feel like they can win this week. They're going to get after Burrow.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't take much to do that. He still carries that damn team. I think last week was kind of an anomaly for the Bills. It seemed like their offense just couldn't do anything, even with a bunch of guys of their secondary out. So I truly think whether it's the Bengals or the Bills, when they want to score and they're scoring, they can just boat race anybody. And I know the Dolphins can too. But I don't know. I like the Bengals at home. They kind of, got back on the right track last week. And I honestly could see the heat still being an issue. Not that anybody had like a heat stroke or anything, but that shit'll kill you. That'll beat the hell out of you. It's only been 4 days. So I don't know. I like the Bengals. Babe.
Yeah, I picked the Bengals here. And as you guys know, I've been kind of on the side of the Dolphins for most of the year. But I just think that after you have a big division game like what they had on Sunday, and then turn around and go travel to Cincinnati, and the injuries they have on top of it, I don't think that they have enough to cover tomorrow. Maybe they cover, but I definitely don't think they win. The Dolphins are awfully impressive, starting out 3-0. I mean, what they've done. We talked preseason about how their schedule to start the year is very difficult. But I just think to start the year and then coming off a huge win against Buffalo division game, I think that it just tends to have a little bit of a letdown, especially on a short week, especially when you have some injured, some key injuries in the lineup. I'm not so certain on Waddle if he's going to play. It sounds like he's gonna, but I don't know if he's going to be a full go. I think it's going to be kind of a game time decision if he can fully go. And man, he's been awesome. I mean, he's been awesome. So he's fun to watch. But I do have a player prop in this bet, and it's in this game, and it's Tyreek over 70.5. I also like him to score in this game. He had some choice words for Eli Apple the other day, and so I didn't know much about it. Kendall messaged me. He's like, "Do you see
he
what
owns
Tyreek
him?"
said?"
He said he owns him.
Yeah. I don't know why you'd want to light a fire under Tyreek. I think it kind of stems last year from. I think the playoffs when Eli threw him down, I kind of tossed him a little bit. So Tyreek said something and just said, he's like, Eli Apple, I owe you one. Be ready for Thursday night. So I think we're going to see a lot of Tyreek. I think he breaks off a long one.
Well, if I remember correctly, game last year, Apple intercepted the ball as he was covering him, and as he did, he got right in his face and gave him the peace sign.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think Tyreek has had this one kind of marked on his calendar. If Waddle's kind of banged up a little bit, I think we see a lot of Tyreek tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. Finally getting a first London game in, which is really exciting. Can't wait for that. I mean, I do like getting to watch football at 8:30 in the morning or whatever it is. It starts. Vikings and the Saints. Saints home team. They're getting 2.5 points. Abe, what do you think? I see you're different than Rich and I.
Yeah, so I picked the Saints. The only reason I picked the Saints was I actually like the Vikings to win this game. I picked the Saints solely because I saw a thing that like 89% of the general public is on the Vikings, and that just doesn't usually bode well. So I was going back and forth on this, and that was my deciding factor. Was the general public loves the Vikings at like I said, almost a 90% clip. And so I'm like, you know what? I did that a lot last week and went with the public a lot, and it obviously didn't go very well for me. So that was my only deciding factor in this. I think Minnesota across the board is much more loaded. I've said this before. The Saints are a team I just cannot stand. Like I just do not like them as a team. But I think the Vikings win and probably cover this. But I just went with the Saints just because the general public is very hot on the Vikings, and that usually doesn't bode well.
Yeah. And I said, did I just see something yesterday maybe that Andy Dalton was taking the first team reps at practice for the Saints?
I saw that too.
I did not see that. Ooh.
Yeah.
And initially, I was going to go with the Saints because of that. But then when I got on here to start plugging my picks in, and I saw you had London game on there, I'm like, well, shit, this ain't a home game for anybody. I'm going to pick the better team with the better players. So that's why I went with the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And hopefully maybe Kamara will do something. That'd be cool.
Thomas might be out. He's already hurt his foot again. So
Olave looks really good. Olave looks
does.
really good, man. He looks really good. And
Landry might be out.
Yeah, you can bet on Kamara. I'm going against him in 2 of my bigger leagues in both games, so you can definitely bet on Kamara. He's going to go crazy.
Are we playing each other in bar pigs?
I don't know about that, but my other 2 leagues are Kamara.
I'm going 3 in bar pigs, so you'll probably I might not win a game all year. My team's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Next one. Bills. Sorry. Earbuds messing me up. Bills traveling to Baltimore. Ravens are getting 3 points at home. We're all on the Bills here. I think probably all are in the same mindset. Kind of they get right. Terrible pass defense for the Ravens. I mean, I don't know. I just think the Bills got too much. They're just too much for the Ravens to handle. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where we all picked the Bills. Bills defense still is going to be down a couple players and everything. Still good defense overall and everything, but this is, I will say this is definitely one, even though all 3 of us are picking Bills, you wouldn't want to do this as a survivor bowl pick because Lamar Jackson has looked great. Been having a stellar season so far. A lot of his players stepping up. Justice Hill, their 3rd running back, looked good last week and everything to fill in. Did you guys see much from J.K. Dobbins last week?
I didn't see him much at all.
Yeah, I didn't know if he played.
Well, he played.
He was active, but I did not. I mean, I didn't, and I don't think I had that game on here, so I didn't see much of it at all.
I do have an over on this game. I am going Tucker over 1.5 field goals made. So,
yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah. There was something I was going to say about that game, and I just completely forgot what it was. So it must not be of any importance.
I mean, something we talked about before we came on was Isaiah Mckenzie. I think he is up and coming, and Josh Allen really trusts him. He's taken over that slot spot where Beasley was so trustworthy. He looks good. He looks really
definitely. Good. That'd be a fun game for sure. Oh, no, what it was. It's like more a fancy thing, but it had like top 5 quarterbacks for fantasy points so far this year. It was like Lamar Jackson was number 1, then whoever the hell else. And then like number 5 or 6 was Lamar Jackson without his rushing.
Wow.
So it's pretty funny. Anyways, moving on. Jaguars traveling to Philly to play the Eagles, the 3-0 Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6.5 at home. Rich, take it away.
Yeah, after my debacle last week of with the Commanders and the Eagles saying that the Commanders were going to cover their minus 6.5 points at home, I'm not going to do the same and go opposite this time around. I'm going to go with the same theory. It's at home, 6.5. Jaguars, although as good as they've looked and everything, Robinson has been a stud coming back after his injury last year. Christian Kirk, obviously, they knew something that everybody else didn't know, and they paid him the money that he did for what he's putting up. Overall, the team's doing good. Marvin Jones had a touchdown last week. I think Zay Jones had a touchdown last week. Overall, nice. I mean, even ETN was getting into the action. He was one of the player props from last week that I picked. He over 24.5 rushing, and he had like close to 50 and everything. James Robinson's killing it. So, but even with that, talking about how good Jaguars look, Eagles have been looking great. Devontae Smith had a huge game last week. Nice to have tied to AJ Brown and everything. I think they keep it going. Jalen Hurts is going to have a stellar game this week. On top of the rest of the other games he has, a fantasy stud.
Abe?
Yeah, so I went back and forth on this game as well. There wasn't a lot of games where I'm like, oh, I really like this. I went back and forth on this as well. This is another game that the betting public is really, really hot on the Eagles because it's under a touchdown. I know the Jaguars have played awesome. I mean, a lot of respect for them. They've played great. They just traveled out to the West Coast and won pretty handily against a team that a lot of people picked to go to the Super Bowl. I know that the Chargers are banged up a little bit, but you still go out west and win. And and win very handily. I think then you come back home, then you got to go to the East Coast. I think that can be difficult sometimes on a young team. But I'm not an Eagles fan. I've said that. I'm not a Jalen Hurts guy. On the flip side of it, the Eagles have been awesome. I mean, they are incredible. But why is this, in my opinion, why is this under a touchdown? I don't know. And when I first started betting, my brother once told me, like, if something seems too good to be true, bet the opposite. So I had the Eagles on here, and I came and erased it and thought, we got a Doug Peterson revenge game here, so let's go with the Jaguars plus 6.5. This is not something I would really, call my friends and be like, hey, this is something I really like, but I have the Jaguars plus 6.5. And I think that it's I hope it's close. That's what I hope for.
So you always tell me about a lot of a lot of betting trends and stuff like that. I want you to look this up for me and have it's a little homework for next week. How often do revenge games actually go that way?
Probably not very well.
Yeah, but it's fun to talk about beforehand.
Everybody always says that. Everybody always, it's the revenge game.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I think we talked about this week one. It's just like, oh, well, they're getting their rings, they're getting the ceremony. And usually everyone's like, oh, they're going to be awesome. Well, I think that takes a lot out of players. I think it takes, and then the other team gets pumped up. So revenge games is not something that's very successful, but it's fun as bettors. We like to talk about it. I think Vegas likes bettors to talk about it also, because I bet it's not a very good betting situation. But and I don't know if this is really a revenge game, but I just went with the Jaguars because the public likes the Eagles. So
I take the Jaguars. I don't believe in the Eagles. I know they look really good. I sound stupid saying that, I'm sure, but not that I think the Jaguars win this football game, but I think their defense is very good. Probably the best defense. I don't know. Vikings defense is pretty good too, that the Eagles have played though. But I started Carl Wentz last week, which worked out really well. They sacked him like 8 times in the first half or something. So I don't know. I think that the Jaguars have a little more success. And I think that their defense will be a little tougher for Hurts and the Eagles. So yeah, I like the Jaguars to cover. Don't think they'll win, but who knows? Could be close. Next one, game of the week. Bears traveling to New York. Giants -3 at home. I'm taking the Giants. Everybody's taking the Giants because the Bears stink. Yeah, you guys got, I'll tell you my player prop I like. Actually, one of them's not up yet, which I'm upset about. But of course, Daniel Jones over 30.5 rushing yards. He had like 79 yards Monday night on 9 carries. It was like over was like 25.5. So that was easy. I like Fields under 148 passing yards.
I don't think he has that total on the season. I don't think.
Dude, probably not. It has been. I saw a stat deal, like it said that the Justin Fields and the Bears offense have completed 23 passes through 3 games. He's 23 of 45 through 3 games so that's a 51% completion status or percentage. Sorry. Yeah. The last team was in 1982 that had 16 completions through 3 games. So
when they're using real leather footballs, like
the Packers did that twice, and they were like 3-0 and 2-1.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl like 1 and 2.
It was in the 50s, or 70s or something like that. So it didn't really count. But yeah, so anything like I'm taking the under on his yards, and I'm taking the under on his passing attempts until he proves us wrong. I don't see that happening. So
yeah, so we all have the Giants, and I think Giants control this game through the run game between Daniel Jones and Barkley. That's why I'm taking the Barkley over 78.5 rushing yards along the side with my man Nate over here picking Jones over 30.5. So they'll go for 200 rushing yards together.
Hell yeah. That needs to be a weekly special at DraftKings.
Yes. I have the Giants also. Both teams are 2-1. I can't believe I'm saying that through 3 weeks, but I have the Giants also. I think the Giants are just a better football team right now. So I have the Giants as well playing at home.
Yeah. Moving on. I put the Washington football team because that's what I like calling them. Traveling down to Jerry World to play the Cowboys and Cooper Rush. Cowboys are favored by 3 points at home. We all like the Cowboys. I do. Cooper Rush looks good, man. He's a baller, dude. I was laughing. I saw that, Coach JB from Last Chance U, you remember him? Bagley sent me a video of him saying that, Jerry, you paid the wrong guy, which made me laugh a lot. So I don't know if that's true, but it was funny to hear. So I don't know. Carl Wentz's season is over. He looked good for 2 games. Now he just looks terrible. I mean, I guess I could see Antonio Gibson having a decent game, maybe, if he's lucky. One prop I like Tony Pollard over 13.5 receiving yards. It seems that could be, one catch realistically could be that. So
yeah, he didn't have one last week. I was kind of shocked that he didn't get a catch last week, but I like the Cowboys also. I can't remember this. Maybe you guys can help me out. Didn't the Cowboys just, dog wash Washington last year on Christmas? Or was that Philly? They just beat the heck out of a team on Sunday night on the night of Christmas. It was a rout. It wasn't even close. For some reason, I thought it was Washington. I don't know that for sure, but Dallas is playing good. Whenever you have a two-headed monster running backs like they do, I think both those guys are running the ball well. Zeke kind of struggled a little bit in week 2, but he's looked pretty good. I know that he usually does about 2 plays and then waves for a sub, but Pollard's looked really damn good. He looks really good. So I have his over rushing. I looked at it this morning or this afternoon at some point. I thought it was 51.5. I could be wrong, but it was right around 50 is what it was. So I really like that for his over rushing. He's ran the ball very, very well.
They both looked. Zeke actually looked pretty decent last week. I thought too. So
yeah,
Rich,
ain't much to say. What you guys already said it. So I got Cowboys too.
Rich has picked the Cowboys, I think 2 out of 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe all 3. I don't know.
Closet Cowboys fan.
I think I picked them all 3 so far, which is very
maybe
shocking.
You have. I don't know.
I'm picking them because Dak is out.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, Chargers traveling to Houston to play the Texans. Texans are getting 6.5 points at home. I didn't know. I picked the Chargers just because they're better, but they don't look very good right now, and they can't cover. I don't know. I don't really like this pick, but I guess it's written on the paper, so I'm going to keep it. Keenan Allen might play. That'd help, but I don't know. I don't trust this pick. I don't like it at all. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go because you have a prop on this. So let me go, and then you can go over your prop. But I have the Texans. I've kind of been on the Chargers all year. I've liked them quite a bit. I just think injuries are a little too much. I don't think the Texans are very good at all. But I think that injuries are kind of hindering the Chargers a little bit. And they're kind of trying to still find their identity. I don't know why, Sony Michel's getting the ball so damn much instead of Eckler. I don't quite understand that as much. Maybe you're saving Eckler, but if you save too long, you're not going to reach the playoffs. So I'm not a big fan of that. Their coach, I think takes too many chances. I've said that a million times, but and I looked at a stat. I need to look this up. I looked at a stat earlier today, and I wish I would have wrote this down. It was a win or a point differential for the Chargers, and they've given up their point differential is negative, I think. And then you look at their schedule, and you're just like, wait a second, why is this? And they've not played well. They have not played well, and I don't know if going on the road, helps that. It helps that I think they're playing a team that's in the bottom, 5 or 10 of the league, but I don't know if they're quite ready for a get right game, and if so, I don't know if it's on the road at Houston.
Yeah, kind of what you said. They're still recovering from injuries. Herbert obviously wasn't 100% last week. They were all over him last week and everything. And Keenan Allen should be back this week, but don't know if he's going to be 100%. So because of that, it's going to be a closer game than what we expect. And I think Texans could, at home, like I said, plus 6.5. I like it. I still pick the Chargers to win the game, but I think it comes down to a field goal and stuff. And even if Chargers do look good, Texans, Mr. Mills is going to have to throw to keep up with them if they do end up looking good and stuff. So that's the reason why I picked Mills over 232.5 passing yards. Now I'm hoping Herbert looks a lot better than what he did last week, so he can help me get this player prop, but keep it close enough because Texans obviously have been playing good under Coach Lovey. Yeah, they've been playing good for him, so he's been working him up, getting him ready for each game and everything, and I think he gets him up for this one game too.
Yep. I'm not feeling good about what I picked. Seahawks traveling the Lions. Lions favorite at home again. We all like the Lions, I think, for obvious reasons. Geno stinks. Seahawks stink. Pete Carroll stinks. I'm not an Air Monarch fan myself. More of a New Balance guy. That's what I always got to make fun of. The Lions defense isn't good. They score a lot though. I could see really like I don't have a prop, but I didn't look, but I could see this game may going over, even though the Seahawks aren't good. But I mean, if Geno's passing props low enough, he could maybe hit it. But I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I didn't look because I don't care. So, anybody got anything to say about this awesome game?
Yeah, I think the Lions just lost that game last week. I don't think that Minnesota won. So I think, playing at home this week against a team that's a bottom feeder team helps them. I don't know if they can cover 4 because they might give up a late touchdown to bust a spread, but I think the Lions are winning this game pretty easily for most of it.
Yeah. Next one, Jets traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Steelers favored by 3.5 points. I like the Jets. The Steelers just, I don't know what to think. Jets, I know didn't look too great last weekend, but I don't think either one of these, I don't think the Steelers are kind of struggle to score. So I like the Jets.
I picked the Steelers in this game, and I don't know why. I just don't know who to pick in these two teams. I just haven't seen enough of them. And when I do, it's a yawner. So I just have the Steelers playing at home just because they're just, they have a way better coach and they have, they're playing at home and they have a better organization. So that's why I chose the Steelers.
Yeah, I picked the Jets. Zach Wilson will be back this week, so that kind of scares me if he does play, which I'm assuming he's going to play. He's been practicing. So I want to see Pickett. I want to see Goat Trubisky play one more bad game this week, and maybe Pickens comes in because I need him in a couple leagues.
I don't think Trubisky played that bad last week.
I don't think he did either. I think he played pretty well, actually.
He has.
Like that team's just not good.
No, it's not. I mean, I saw Deontay like a couple times like throw his hands up in the air and kind of bitching, and then Trubisky hit him on a route and just hit him right in the hands and like fell, and then he's just like looking at Trubisky. I'm like, dude, that hit you right in the hands. Like that is not on anyone else besides yourself. He looks to complain at Trubisky quite a bit. And, obviously he had a case of the drops last year. He needs to focus on catching the ball instead of bitching about who his quarterback is.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good situation to throw Pickett into. That's my whole reasoning besides the thing. And I don't think he's that good anyways. But I just, doesn't seem like the right place to start a guy right now. That's, wears 2 gloves. So
fair enough.
I can't do it. Cleveland's traveling to Atlanta. Falcons are getting 1.5 points at home. I'm on this Falcons bandwagon. I think I picked him every single week. They've covered. They're 3-0 against the spread, aren't they? Or do they?
Yeah.
Did they cover week 2? Yeah,
they are.
Sure did.
They are because I picked against
them,
and they're Falcons. I've been on 3. So
I was like Chubb over 86.5. He's been destroying these props they rush for over 100 yards every week. So yeah, go Falcons.
Yeah, I also got a player prop on this one. After the huge week Njoku had last week, I think he easily covers 37.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I like that.
Looked good last week, by the way.
Yeah, he's looked really good. So I've been opposite of Nate. I've been against the Falcons all year. I just think they're trash. I think Mariota's trash. I've also been against the Browns because of their organization. So when this game came up, I was like, shit, who do I pick? Like I don't. And I'm like, well, the Falcons are 3-0 against the spread, and they've looked pretty good. And they're playing at home, and they're getting points at home. So all those things like came into play, and I'm like, well, let's go with the Falcons. So that's why I chose them.
Hell yeah, they're gonna get beat this week.
Oh, absolutely, they're gonna get trounced. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to be the
All
one
right.
that curses them.
That's fine. Titans traveling to Indy to play the Colts after a hot win by the Colts. Colts get sorry, I can't talk. Given 3 points at home. I like the Colts. I don't know if is Shaq Leonard playing, is DeForest Buckner playing. I don't know what to think. I don't think the Titans are good. I don't know who the Raiders are. No offense, Rich.
We don't even know right now.
Jonathan Taylor missed his first day of practice ever yesterday, so maybe that's like a little day of rest so he can run all over Derrick Henry and the Titans. I like the Colts Meister, I guess.
Yeah, we're all on board on this one. I think we're all feeling the wave of them beating the Kansas City last week, and it's at home, so yeah, go with the -3.
Yeah, I like the Colts also just riding Johnny Taylor. I mean, just sit there and ride him and until you can't anymore. I think that's why he rested at practice. At least that's why I hope he rested. But yeah, I think the Colts realize like their bread and butter is Johnny Taylor, and that's what they have to do. And having Pittman back helps. I mean, that does help compared to week 2 when he wasn't there.
Alec Pierce looked. I mean, Alec Pierce looked good too. I mean, as a wide receiver too, looked pretty good. So, Cardinals traveling cross country to play the Panthers off a big win against the Saints. I don't know why I picked the Panthers. I have no idea. I said sure, why not? Give me the Panthers -1.5. I don't know. Christian McCaffrey's good. That's why I'm picking the Panthers. I don't like their defense. I don't feel good about this, but whatever. You guys like Cardinals? Let's hear it. Either one of you.
So I'll go. So I dropped Deontay Foreman in every one of my leagues. I had him in every one of my leagues. I dropped him, and then tonight I was sitting there with Abby, and I got a notification on my phone that he hit the he's on the IR list, or not IR list, but he's on the with a thigh injury. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, oh, here we go. So
Yep.
I did see a stat with Cliff Kingsbury. Not a big fan of Cliff Kingsbury, but I saw that he is 14-3 as a road dog covering. So I think those are pretty good stats. So that's why I picked the Cardinals. So I'm a big fan of that stat. I like that. That was pretty one-sided in that aspect. So even though they are traveling across country, and the Cardinals, they have I think they have a better team. And I like that stat of them being 14-3 as a road dog.
Yeah, McCaffrey did pop up on the injury report today. I don't know how serious or what's going on and everything, but Cardinals have looked good. Baker hasn't. Jared, if you're listening, I'm sorry. He just has not looked good at all. Now, obviously, I know he's still learning in this offense and everything. Maybe needs some time to gel with everybody, but Cardinals look good right now, man. Even their defense has been playing pretty decent and everything. So I think they could, if Baker doesn't start looking at DJ Moore and stuff like that, this is an easy win for the Cardinals.
I'm about to drop DJ Moore in my fantasy leagues. That dude, what the hell, man?
Well, last year he was so on fire the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then he kind of fell off a little bit. I'm hoping that it's kind of opposite this year. I hope that he starts off very cold, and then he turns it on later. I mean,
I'll go with that.
He's a damn good wide receiver. Like, I don't know why he doesn't get the ball or more looks. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, he'd look good in Green Bay, but doesn't matter. So a lot of guys would. Anyways, speaking of Green Bay, Patriots with hopefully Bailey Zappi gets to start traveling to Lambeau to play the Packers. Packers favored by 9.5 points at home, which is a ton. Thought it'd be more, to be honest with you. I don't care. Give me the Packers. They're hot. Brian Hoyer's not going to cover 10 points.
Yeah. With that being said,
Packers defense
I
is too good.
I have to understand what Abe's pick is here.
He just hedges
Please
his bet.
explain
He
this.
can't
Please
pick the
explain
Packers.
Bill Belichick, and the Packers just don't blow anyone out. I don't know. I think 10 points is just a lot of points for Bill Belichick. I mean, when's the last time he's been a 10-point dog, no matter who his quarterback is? I don't know. I think that's a lot of points for Bill Belichick, and I don't care who his quarterback is. But Nate's right. I'm hedging a little bit. What's that?
You can't root for Bailey Zappi. He was a Hilltop. Remember what they did to Western Illinois with the sledgehammer back in the day?
No, I don't. No.
You remember the big fight on the football field when the year after Cyphers graduated?
Oh yeah.
That was the Hilltoppers. That's where Bailey Zappi
Oh,
went. We can't cheer for him.
Well, I'm not cheering for the Patriots. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. I just maybe it'll work. Probably not. Rich, I don't know what to think about your Raiders. I'm just getting upset. Broncos traveling to Las Vegas. Raiders favored by 2.5 points at home. I picked the Raiders for Rich because the Broncos stink. That was one of the worst games I'd ever seen Sunday night until Monday for like 3 quarters. I don't get it. I don't. The
Javonte
Broncos
Adams
aren't good.
had a press conference yesterday, or I don't know if it was today, and he made a comment that everybody's struggling to learn this offense and everything with all the plays that they have, the play calling and everything, that everybody's still adjusting to it. Man, I don't know, man.
You better get adjusted. You're gonna miss the playoffs.
This is going to be an emotional roller coaster for me all year long. But I'm Raider Nation, ride or die till I die. It is what it is, man. I got Raiders minus 2.5 at home. They got to get their first win, or this season is tanked.
They're gonna be popping champagne in the third quarter when they're up by 15.
I hope they learn their lesson from the Arizona Cardinals game and don't.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I am picking the Broncos for Rich also, and that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but I have been all over the Raiders in the preseason in the first couple of weeks of the year. And so when I typed this in, I went Raiders, and then I deleted it. I'm like, let's do this for Rich. Let's go and put our bet on the Broncos.
Take one for the team, baby. Take one for the team.
I got to do it one. They're the last, defeated team in football. So I do think that the Raiders come out and get a win. I think the Broncos. I think they stink. I think Russ. I've said this all preseason. Russ is not good. And not that he's not good. He's not as good as what he used to be. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not a $50 million quarterback. He used to throw. I just keep waiting for him to throw one of his rainbow, downfield throws, and he doesn't do it. I don't know why. I know that Nathaniel Hackett is a big believer in not turning the ball over. So Russ just doesn't seem like he's taking a lot of chances at all. And I think that that's hurting them. I also think that I've said this the last couple of weeks also. I just do not understand the running back tandem of Javonte and Mel Gordon and now Mike Boone. Like Mike Boone is seeing every third down. Javonte, it'll be Mel Gordon's turn, and then he'll get tired, and Javonte will come in for a play, and then they bring in Mike Boone. And I at that point in time, if I was in the press box, I would go down there and rip that headset right off of whoever is making that decision, whether it's Nathaniel Hackett or who it is. Like, you do not take a rusted Javonte Williams out of a game when you're trying to win, when you're struggling to move the ball, for a Mike Boone. It is absolutely stupid to do that. It's okay every once in a while for Boone to come in on third down and, maybe he pass protects better. I don't know. I was watching it. I'm like, it's not any different than anyone else. It's not like he's phenomenal at it. He's good at it, but I don't think that Javonte is terrible at it. I don't think Mel Gordon's terrible at it. So with that being said, I do have Javonte over 51.5 rushing yards. Even if he only does get 10 carries a game, he's averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry. He's averaging 3 or 4 yards a carry after initial hit. So for him to get there is, I think, pretty easy for that to happen. I also like Waller over 45.5 receiving yards. I think that Waller has a pretty good game here. I'm assuming that what's his name, the wide receiver that I love for the Raiders and I'm big on. What's his name? No, obviously I like Devontae. I got his jersey on right now. But no, the little guy that had 110 catches last year, or whatever his name, Hunter Renfrow. So I don't know if he's going to play this weekend. Do you know anything about that, Rich? If he's playing or not?
You're on mute.
Sorry, man. I've been coughing,
That's right.
so
That's
I
right.
had it on mute because I've been coughing. So, you know what? I haven't heard anything about Renfrow.
Yeah, I don't know either. I like Waller this week. I love Javonte's rushing yards this week. So the only reason I'm picking the Broncos is to get Rich a big win.
Yeah. So real quick, I know Nate, he has to run, so we'll go ahead and finish this up. No, you're good, man. So we got a question from Brandon C. Thoughts, 12-team full PPR, Gibson, A.J. Brown, Claypool, and Akers for Mixon, Goddard, Gabe Davis, and Devontae Parker. What's your thoughts on this? What side you like?
Let me see. Gibson, Brown, Claypool, and Akers for Mixon, Goddard, Gabe Davis, and Devontae Parker. I think I am siding on the Mixon, Goddard, Gabe Davis, and Devontae Parker side. I really like A.J. Brown a lot. Gibson's been pretty good. I don't know what his role looks like when Robinson comes back or if he comes back. And I think Chase Claypool was one of the most overrated wide receivers the last couple of years. So I really, and Akers, I don't know what to think of Akers. I've always been a big fan of him. He's a very heady, smart football player. And it's just not a running backfield that you can trust in fantasy, where you can be like, hey, I'm gonna plug in Akers. If you have a bye week or maybe in the flex you can do it, but I just don't know what they're gonna do with their running back, their backfield. So I would side on the Mixon, Goddard. Goddard's a heck of a tight end. Mixon should be a top 10, top 12 running back. He hasn't been yet. Gabe Davis, he was one of my really big breakout wide receivers this year. Devontae Parker looked pretty darn good last week, so I would side with the second portion of that.
Yeah. So he also put it in the chat, and I'm going to bring it up real quick too. Let me hide. He also has Cup and Diggs, so that makes this trade a lot more understandable to get rid of A.J. Brown when you have these two players. I hate giving up A.J. Brown, but you're better in your team with the players that you're getting in return, because Gibson will lose. He will lose some touches once Robinson comes back, and Akers is already. They've been giving him an opportunity to get better and everything, but he's one fumble away, one injury away from getting put back in the doghouse and everything. So, and obviously I'm feeling the same way with you on Claypool. You're definitely improving your team going another route. Devontae Parker looked good last week and is only going to get better as he learns this offense. It gets more chemistry with his QB and everything. So I do like the Mixon, Goddard, Davis, and Parker side.
Yeah, let's not forget too, I'm a huge A.J. Brown guy. Like, I'm a big fan of him. And I just can't find myself ever drafting him because of, I really appreciate that he plays on the East Coast. So he's usually a noon game guy, and they're not, their team is not, at least last year when they were Tennessee, they played a lot of noon games. They weren't, flexed to 325 or Sunday night games. So you kind of knew when he was going to play or if he was going to sit out, but he was a game time decision a lot last year. So that's something to keep in consideration also. So when I was going through my fantasy football rankings this year, when I had him at whatever spot I had him, I don't know, 10 or 12, it was, it was obviously a wide receiver number one. And then I'd look at like number 13 or 14. I would side with the two guys like during a draft. They were a little bit lower just because they were they weren't a game time decision as much as A.J. Brown was last year. So now obviously we haven't seen that much this year. He's been, I don't think he's been on the injury list or injury report at all. But I think you're safer and you have more upside with more guys as the second part of that. It's hard not to like A.J. Brown. I agree, but I think that you have a little bit more depth if you go to the second group.
Hey, Brandon, thank you for coming on and checking out the show. While you're here, please hit the like button and subscribe and help us to that grind for 1,000. Appreciate you jumping in and watching us tonight. So let's go ahead and continue. Next one on the list is Chiefs at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are +1. Possibly might be at Minnesota, depending what's going on with this hurricane. No final decision has been made. You and me both got the Chiefs. Nate is the low man out and picked the Buccaneers at +1. Thoughts on this?
I just picked the Chiefs. Just coming off a loss. I thought the Chiefs are playing really good this year. I think it's kind of hard for Tampa. I know you have Brady, who's who can handle anything, but I think it's kind of hard for a team when all of a sudden you're picking up and moving 2 Tuesday or Wednesday out of town when you're supposed to be playing at home. That can have a little bit on something. And then obviously he doesn't know who his wide receivers are yet again this week. So, last week Julio was a true game time decision. Didn't play again. It looked like him and Cole Beasley had played together for years, but he didn't get a lot of looks. And Perriman got a little hurt. Gage looked pretty good. He got a little banged up also. Without Godwin, obviously he's getting Evans back this week.
Yep.
But I just think the Chiefs are a team that, that plays really well at night. Brady doesn't play so great at night for whatever reason. I think that Mahomes loves the spotlight, and actually coming off of a loss, I think that both Brady and Mahomes are good enough to make their teams better after that. But I just think the Chiefs are better up and down, on paper right now with as badly injured as Tampa Bay is.
Yeah, 100%. I think Chiefs want to get a win after coming back after the loss last week. Nate also put on here, not so much a player prop, but maybe stat Brady's 49-23 after losses.
Yeah, against the spread. Yeah.
Against the spread. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Against the spread after losses. So
yeah, he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but I just think Chiefs come back and win this game. I mean, they had an off game last week. I think they bounced back, and maybe Mahomes and the assistant coach made up in the locker room, and they have a better game this week and not have a sideline blow up like they did last week. So,
yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen Brady as a favorite at home coming off of a loss, which kind of makes me think, well, maybe you should go with Tampa. But I just think Mahomes and that team is a little more hungry right now, and obviously a little bit more healthy.
Yep. Next game on the last game on the list, Monday night game is Rams at the 49ers. 49ers minus 1.5. Nate is the only one that picked the Rams. You and me picked the 49ers. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so I've been on the Rams all year, and so I had the Rams on here first, and then I went and switched it, and we'll kind of talk about that.
Same here too. I did Rams too, and then I switched it too.
So I picked the 49ers. I think the 49ers looked terrible last week. Absolutely terrible. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of the Rams game. And from what I've heard, they have not looked very good either. Last week, I saw them play a little bit the week before, but I just think San Francisco playing at home. I know that one team dominates this, and I want to say it's San Francisco side.
Yep.
And so I think that's why I switched it kind of last minute. And then I also will go over this in a little bit. One thing that I really kind of like is when a team loses and then they come back home and they're underdogs again, they tend to do pretty well, especially at home. So I have San Francisco covering this spread of minus 1.5.
Yeah, I initially had the Rams too, but then I started thinking, you know what? 49ers has pretty much dominated this series for the last 3-4 years, excluding the loss last year in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. But Garoppolo's back another week with Kittle together. They get more developed as far as or the groove back together between them two and everything. So I do like Debo's been a stud in the backfield and receiving. I mean, it's hard to get that man down and everything. I expect Stafford to throw like 2-3 interceptions. Both defenses are looking good. 49ers defense is actually looking bad. Their secondary is looking pretty decent right now. They got a nice safety back there. It's just been killing it and everything. So that's the reason why I went with the 49ers. I do pick the over for 42. It was a real close one to do, and I was looking at it thinking the under, but I'm like, no, man. Between these two teams, they got to go and get the over at 42. That's an easy over, I think.
Yeah, so one thing about over-unders, I saw something, the under is hit in like, I want to say it was over 70%. I think 71% is what I saw in the games this year. And I think that Vegas knows that a little bit. So I think that they're kind of bringing that number down a little bit more. So typically I think this over-under would probably be around 44. But I think that Vegas is kind of hedging their own stuff a little bit by saying, hey, we haven't done this. The unders are hitting like crazy. Maybe we should drop the unders a little bit to entice more overs or, people that bet overs. I am myself and a couple of my buddies that I gamble with, we really struggle betting unders. and we have not done very well yet this year. So hopefully that, Vegas brings these down a little bit, and then, some overs start popping. But I think 42 is a little bit too low. We're talking about two professional football teams that get up and down the field. I know they both have good defenses, but they both have a lot of firepower on offense. So I think 42 is too small of a number. So I really like that play on your end.
So let's finish this strong with the long shot of the night. Do you got a shot at all?
No, let me go grab one real quick while you kind of go over Nate's.
While we're going over, I'm going to go over and get Nate's.
Yeah.
Nate's long shot of the week. He gets a couple on here. Waddle and Chase over 100 receiving and 1+ TD each. He also has Cup and Samuel 250+ receiving yards combined. That is Nate. So while my man Abe is getting his shot, I'm going to go over mine. At first, when I was reading this, good to go?
Yeah.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
So my long shot of the week, when I initially put on there, thought it was a long shot, but after discussion and you and me had before the show, it is Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson 500+ passing yards, 100+ rushing yards, and 1+ receiving TD combined. It's at +190. Really ain't a long shot the more you think about it. What's your thoughts on that one, Abe?
Yeah, so you and I obviously talked about this before we started our show. I saw it as well, and I really like this. This is, I think, a weekly special on DraftKings. And when I looked at it initially, I'm like, well, I didn't even get to the odds yet, and I'm like, oh, I really like this. Then I saw the odds, and I saw it was +190. I'm like, well, those aren't the best of odds. But I got to thinking, I'm like, this is a pretty good play, though. Like, I mean, can both these guys throw for 250+ passing? You had anytime they could. Can both of them rush for 50 yards? You had anytime they could. Can one of them score a rushing or receiving touchdown? Absolutely. So I like this. And if you get a chance to, if you're playing this weekend and you get a chance for, maybe a boost on DraftKings, if you're playing, and you can put it on a certain game, if you get a 50 or 100% boost to put this on there and get this at, +380 or something like that, that might be a pretty good idea to put a boost on this to get better odds, because I think this will hit. I think these are good numbers that both these guys can contribute to and see, we can see well over these numbers.
Yeah, like I said, we were discussing this earlier. The only thing I'm really worried about, not worried so much about the rushing yards and the touchdown, it's the 500 passing yards. Obviously, they, like I said, 250 each, easily could do that on any given Sunday. But if I remember hearing correctly, Josh Allen hurt his throwing hand. I'm not 100% sure if it was throwing hand or his other hand and everything. So not 100% sure on this, but like I said, heck, Josh Allen could probably get close to 500 if he was lights out and everything, excluding last week's game. Maybe it's a little bit cooler than last week's game and he does it all by himself. But I already went over Nate's, Abe, so go on and hit us with yours.
Yeah, so mine is, the couple of guys that I went and looked at, they didn't have very many props out. So I don't have odds on this, but my one long shot that I have is something I kind of touched on earlier. I have Javonte Williams to go over 100 yards and score a touchdown. His over-under rushing yards, I think, was 51 or 53.5 when we went over it earlier. So I think he doubles that. I think he has a monster game this week. I think he finally gets in the end zone. If someone's got to be saying, get this guy the ball. Someone has to be saying that from their front office.
They've probably been saying it the whole time. It's just that coach hasn't been listening.
Yeah. And at one point in time, if you keep winning 11-10 or you're squeaking out wins, you're not going to have a job for very long when you pay a quarterback $50 million and a team that everyone thinks is going to the Super Bowl. So I think that he has a monster game. Finally, I think we see him kind of take over. Then I have something a little nugget. So this is I always kind of find stuff like this or hear stuff about this. One thing this week I saw was take teams that lost and did not cover last week versus teams that won and covered. So if you take a team that lost and did not cover and they're playing a team that both won and covered last week, that scenario fits, I think, 5 different teams. and bet the team that did not, that lost and did not cover. So that would be Buffalo. Take Buffalo against Baltimore. Take Arizona at Carolina. Take New England at Green Bay. Take the Raiders versus Broncos, and then take the Niners versus the Rams. So if you parlay all these, it's about 18 and 19 to 1. I did not do the odds on these. I did a couple odds, and then I did a couple of straight up just money lines to get to that 18 to 1. But I really like that stat. It's been a proven winner. There wasn't any numbers behind it like, hey, this has hit 70% of the time in the last 10 years. It just said, hey, this is a proven winner for teams that lost and did not cover, and they're playing a team that won and did cover. Take those teams that lost and did not cover last week and see how those play out and ride out. So I'm interested to see, what those look like next week if we get a 40% or 60% or 80% clip that, these hit. And if all 5 of them hit, you're hitting a parlay at 18, 19 to 1. That's pretty impressive also.
And now that all explains it on why you picked New England over Green Bay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I actually changed a couple of picks because of this. So, and New England was one of them. San Francisco was another one that I said I'd get to in a few minutes. And that's the reason why.
Well, enough said, man. That is it for this week. Nate, you got any? Abe, you got anything that you want to close out with?
No, I'm, hopefully we start to see some things even out a little bit going into week 4. We've had an absolute wild season so far. In the NFC East has a 8-4 record, and the AFC West that we talked about all preseason is the best conference and our best division we've ever seen in football at a 5-7 clip to start the season. Hopefully we start seeing, the cream rise to the top, and we start seeing the teams that are a little bit better get better, and some of the teams that have played a little above their team, start to mellow out, and we can kind of figure out a few things. Now, obviously, a lot of that stuff changes because it's the NFL. But I'm excited to see some teams that have not looked the greatest, like your Raiders. See them hopefully start excelling a little bit.
Yep, and
I got my Javonte jersey on, by the way. I think I said that. So
yes, that's the nice jersey. It's a nice jersey. I like that. And the one thing I'm going to close out, ladies and gents, is don't panic, don't freak out, because the way this first quarter of the season's going, things tend to even out as the season goes on. And just like Abe said, cream starts to rise to the top. So don't panic and trade away players that you're going to regret trading away 2-3 weeks down the road, and to the vultures that are going to be trying to get these players from you panicking. So with that all being said, once again, hit the like button, subscribe, follow us at toiletstotitles.com. And as always, give us a 5-star review and Patreons. Thank you, every one of you, for what you do and supporting us. And week 4 is here tomorrow night. Abe, you have a great week and a great weekend, and I hope your fantasy teams excel over everybody else.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You do the same, Rich. Enjoy the rest of your vacation week, and we'll be in touch next week.
Y'all have a good night.